In this video, we are going to discuss the clash between Nodirbek Abdusattorov versus Praggnanandhaa, played in the 6th round of the Prague International Chess Festival 2024. This game is filled with excitement and thrill. So let's quickly jump into the video. So Nodirbek Abdusattorov starts the game with 1 e4. Praggnanandhaa replies with e5. We have knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5. We have the royal Lopez standard opening. a6, bishop a4, and here Praggnanandhaa played the move knight e7, a bit unusual move. So the idea of knight e7 is to put the knight to g6 and strike with d5 in the center. So short castle, knight g6, c3, and here we have the move d5 on the board. Trying to open up the position, e d5, queen d5, and here we have the move bishop to b3, attacking the queen. The queen sits on d3, a very nice square, not allowing white to push the pawn to d4. We have bishop c2, queen to d6, and here we have the move rook to e1. And here rook e1, black is having two moves to continue the position, bishop e7 or bishop e6. It doesn't matter because it eventually transposes. So bishop e6, the idea or intention could be to do a long castle. We have d4, bishop e7. So okay, like many beginners would like to capture on d4, but like nothing is happening, just keep on developing the pieces. Bishop e7, bishop e3, and here we have the move e into d4. I personally feel black can also play the move short castle. There's absolutely no problem with this particular move because after pawn takes, you can play the move. You can capture the queen, or you can simply, you can play the move simply knight into e5 and the position is extremely fine. So going back, we have e into d4, knight d4, bishop d4, and here we have the move short castle. And overall, I would say white is having a slight advantage in this position, practical in terms of view, because white is having two monster bishops looking at the king side, and he's having the open e5. So I think white should be having a slightest advantage in the position. But after short castle, knight d2, Praggnanandhaa played the move c5, bishop e3, and here we have the move queen to c7. I think at the place of playing the move queen c7, black can also continue the game via rook to d8, simply focusing on developing the pieces and keeping flexibility with the queen, whether we should put the queen on c7 or maybe to b3, b6 or something else, maybe to c6. So going back, still queen c7 is extremely fine move. We have queen h5 in the position, rook to d8, and here we have the move g3 by Abdusattorov, not the best move in the position. I guess g3 intention is to play bishop f4 in this position because black cannot capture the bishop because it's a mate in 1 on h7. But the best move in this position for white could have been to play the move f4 in this position. And the idea is pretty clear, white wants to push the pawn to f5. So to stop the f5, black himself have to play the move f5 in the position. But after f5, I already feel in the practical terms of view, white should be better. Because white is having the open e file and there could be some pressure on the e file on the bishops on e6 and e7, and there could be some potential weakness on the f5 pawn. And here after f5, white can play the move knight f3, some good outpost on e5 and g5, and white should be doing extremely better in this position. But we have g3 in the position, and here Praggnanandhaa played the move rook to d5, attacking the queen. In this position, black can also play the move queen c8, which I think is a bit better because like the idea is pretty clear. You are threatening to cover the light squares in the position. And if white continues with something like bishop e4, we already have bishop g4 and the queen is already trapped on h5. So that's the main problem. But here we have rook to d5 in the position, kicking the queen back, and here we have the move b5, expanding on the queen side, which makes sense. After b5, we have the move f4 by Nodirbek. I think c4 is also doing extremely fine move because after a rook d8 takes, it looks like black is losing a pawn at the first glance, but eventually after queen b5, we have rook b8 and black eventually get the pawn back. So that's the reason c4 is not working. So we have f4, and here we have the move queen c8, trying to cover the light squares in the position. We have bishop to e4, attacking the rook. The rook drops back, a4, and a4 is a very interesting move. You are trying to undermine the queen side, trying to create a weakness on the b5 pawn. After a4, we have the move bishop g4, trying to hit the queen, and here we have the move queen to f2. It makes sense to keep the queen on this particular diagonal to put pressure on the b5 pawn, but after queen f1, Praggnanandhaa can easily play the move bishop h3, I guess, trying to repeat the position, and black is happy with the draw. But queen f2 in the position. Nodirbek wants to fight the position. And after queen f2 we have bishop f5. Praggnanandhaa's idea is to simply trade off the bishop because the bishop on e4 is a very heavy and monstrous piece. So after bishop f5 we have first pawn takes, and here we have the move bishop to g2, not trying to trade off the bishops. And here we have the move bishop to h3 by Praggnanandhaa, which makes sense. You want to trade off the bishop on g2 because it is just a monstrous bishop trying to cover whole diagonal. And after bishop h3, Nodirbek played the move bishop h1, which looks extremely fine move practical terms, but a better move in this position was to simply play the move rook to a8 in this position. And you won't believe it, but white is winning a pawn. How? Rook a8, the queen is attacked, you have to move the queen. Rook takes, bishop h takes, queen takes, and here we simply have bishop into c5. And after bishop c5, it looks like black can take the knight in this position, because after queen takes, we have takes, and black is having two minor pieces, and indeed black is better in this position. But going back, in this position after rook into d2, white is not going to capture the rook, but white is going to play the move rook into e7 in this position. The point is pretty clear. If black tries to capture white's queen, we have rook e8 check followed by rook f8 and the game is over. So that's the reason after rook e7, if for example rook d1, we have rook e1 and white is already a pawn up. And in this position, if we have a knight into e7, white can also capture the rook happily, and white is already winning in this position. So that's the main idea of what could have happened if Nodirbek would have found the move rook to a8. But we have bishop h1, and here we have b4 by Praggnanandhaa, which makes sense. You're trying to push the pawns on the queen side. c4, and here we have the move bishop f6, putting a bishop on a very nice diagonal. After bishop f6, we have the move rook a8, but this time it's not really working because after queen d7 takes, knight to e4. The idea is pretty clear. You cannot capture the pawn on c5 because the knight is hanging on d2. So after knight e4, we have the move queen to d3, a very powerful and interesting move. After queen e3, the intentions are pretty clear. Black wants to capture the pawn on c4. Black knows that c5 cannot be protected, so black's idea is to simply capture the c4 pawn. And here, Nodirbek continued with bishop into c5. I think maybe he should have continued with knight into f6 check. First, getting a strong bishop on f6, and now he's having the bishop pair, so he can continue the game with queen f3 in the position. Because black cannot capture the pawn on c4 in this position, because after g4, black loses a piece on h3. So this could have been practically a good idea. But okay, bishop into c5, queen into c4, and here we have the move knight to d6 in this position, trying to attack the queen. But already it looks practically that white is having something. But after queen b3, the b2 is simply falling apart. So after bishop f3, we have h6 first, trying to get secure with any back rank issue. After h6, we have bishop h5, but white is not really threatening to take the knight because black can happily take the bishop back. So we have queen to d5, and now black's idea is to capture the knight on d6 in this position. So we have bishop to f3 first, attacking the queen. We have queen to b3 back. So basically, Praggnanandhaa is asking Nodirbek whether he wants to draw the game in this position by repeating the position. But Nodirbek in this position simply declines the draw by playing the move rook to e2. After rook e2, there is a very strong move in this position. You can try to pause the video and try to think how well black tries to continue in this position. Okay, so a very strong move for black in this position that was found by Praggnanandhaa was to play the move rook into d6. A very strong move by Nodirbek. And if you found this move, congratulations. The point is pretty clear. Black's idea here is, if white captures the rook in this position, black is going to give a check, followed by rook here, and black is going to get the bishop. And black is having two minor pieces against the rook, which should be better for black. But I'm pretty sure that Nodirbek found this idea, so he first played the move rook to e8 check. And after king h7, now he captured the rook, and the idea is pretty clear. Now black cannot play the move queen to d1 check because the bishop is simply covering the piece. So it looks like now it's completely winning for white. But now black is having extremely strong move. You can try to pause the video and try to find the move. It is a brilliant move in the position. Okay, so if you found the move bishop to d4, excellent job. The idea is pretty clear. We are simply attacking the queen. And the queen is forced to capture the bishop, and after takes, we simply capture the bishop on f3. and now you can already sense the weaknesses on the light squares. Black is threatening checkmate on g2 as well as on f1. So the only way to defend the checkmate is to play the move queen f2. But now we simply have queen to d1 check and simply capturing the bishop. So finally we have 2 minor pieces against the rook, which is completely winning position for black. So here we have queen e3, and now it's completely winning for Praggnanandhaa because black is having 2 minor pieces. So it's all about how you are going to convert it. He first put the pawn on b3, and now black is completely comfortable in this position, and there is no problem for black in this particular position. He trades off one of the pawn, put the bishop to c2, and after knight to e3, Nodirbek decided to resign the game. The idea is pretty clear. The rook is attacked, followed by knight to d4, knight to d1, capturing the pawn on b2 and pushing up the pawn, and the game is winning for black. So this is how Nodirbek resigned the game and Praggnanandhaa won a simply brilliant game by losing 2 games at the very first 2 rounds against Richard Rapport and Param Maksudlu, and then immediately striking with Gujarati and now Nodirbek Abdusattorov. So the game was very interesting. So if you learned anything new, make sure to like the video, share this video with everyone, and make sure to subscribe to our channel if you are new to our channel. I'm going to come up with these interesting videos like this. So till then, stay tuned and keep watching OneShot Chess.